We're gathering some of the most sophisticated investors into this particular closed door gathering. And so I do expect there to be really insightful and, really constructive debates around kind of where the market's going, how to approach the market, just really hopefully sharing useful tools for people to think about how they would be able to deploy capital into this asset class.
Break the cycle of exploitation, break down the barriers to truth, break into the next generation of privacy, break free. Free to scroll without being monetized, free from censorship, freedom without fear. We deserve more when it comes to privacy. Experience the next generation of blockchain that is private and inclusive by design. Break free with Midnight. Visit midnight.network/break-free. CoinDesk Bitcoin Treasury Month is brought to you by Genius Group, a Bitcoin treasury company listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker GNS. Genius is building toward a 10,000 Bitcoin treasury and just launched Genius Academy, featuring courses from Saifedean Ammous and more. Start learning for free today at geniusacademy.ai. Genius Group. Genius isn't measured in IQ, it's measured in Bitcoin. Looking for the best way to unlock your crypto's liquidity? Whether you're funding a major purchase like a down payment on a home, investing in new opportunities, or even buying more Bitcoin, Figure makes it straightforward and transparent. Take out a crypto-backed loan in the Figure app today. Hey everyone, I'm Jen Sanasie, and you're watching CoinDesk. Well, Salt and Consensus are partnering to bring you the Consensus Salt Hong Kong Institutional Summit. Joining me now to talk to us all about what that event is Salt CEO John Darsie and Consensus Chairman Michael Lau. Hello to you both.
Great to be here, Jen.
Hey there, Jen.
Great to have you both here. Consensus is right around the corner. I know I'm getting ready for it. John, I'm going to start with you since you are the new face in the gang here. Talk to us about the event. What was interesting to you from a SALT perspective about Consensus?
Well, first of all, we heard just such great things about Consensus Hong Kong last year. I know it was a debut event for Consensus in Hong Kong, but by all accounts, hit it out of the park. And so I think we love Hong Kong. Anthony Scaramucci, our founder and chairman, spent years at the beginning of his career at Goldman Sachs in Hong Kong and has a strong fondness for the city. And so we've been talking to the government, HKMA, various other stakeholders there about doing a SALT event in Hong Kong. But we don't have any people on the ground in Asia or anybody to really help us execute some elements of the event. And so as I developed more of a relationship with the Consensus team, we already had a relationship with Tom, and I've gotten to know Michael over the last couple of years. We thought, why not approach them about doing an event together? And so they were very gracious in bringing us into the tent and allowing us to partner on the institutional summit just before the main Consensus Hong Kong. So we like to partner. We're very collaborative in nature, and we've come to discover that CoinDesk and Consensus are the same way. So we're really excited to join forces and make it the premier institutional summit, we think, in Asia.
Well, we look forward to having SALT as a part of Consensus in February. Michael, I want to kick it over to you now. The Institutional Summit kicked off last year at Consensus Hong Kong. Talk to us about what we can expect this year with this new partnership.
Yeah, so I think what was really fascinating was just the turnout that we had in our inaugural event. One of the things that we've noticed over the years is just the fact that there's so many sophisticated investors in Asia that just lack the access to global fund managers and the ability to actually understand what the best options are out there in terms of being able to participate in this asset class. And that was the real purpose behind putting together a day of content and a day of networking that specifically focused on this. What we didn't expect was the fact that there were so many people that were so eager to participate in an event like ours because of the fact that we brought in just really high quality names, really high quality content that was tailored to this specific thing. And so the idea was, how do we level up? How do we continue to build on that? Because not only do we expect more people to show up, we expect people to show up with more capital as well, to be able to really figure out how to engage in this space. And that's kind of where we thought, hey, it'd be great to find partners that actually understand that same kind of field as we do, and also really are interested in just being able to provide people the best options around kind of how to think about approaching this asset class. And so this year, what we're planning to do is to kind of just level up a lot of what we're doing. The format is pretty similar to last year in that there's a heavy focus on the networking and a heavy focus on making sure that we have both institutional investor allocators as well as a good portion of people who represent some of the best fund managers and VCs out there.
Michael, we just heard from John why Hong Kong is appealing to the folks over at SALT, but Talk to us about Hong Kong more generally. I know you're based there. Why is this the right place to have a summit like this?
Yeah, look, when it comes to just the broader traditional capital markets, Hong Kong is undeniably a tier one financial hub. And in Asia, it's where most of the capital currently actually flows. The fact that we're seeing this convergence between digital assets, blockchain technology coming together with traditional finance, it matters where that's happening. And it matters, for example, in the magnitude and volume of which it would happen. And Hong Kong is kind of the only place where it's at that level. And so I think to us, what we're seeing is just a resonance around the fact that if there's going to be a significant convergence here, then Hong Kong is the place to have those conversations because that's also where the decision makers are largely based. It's also much easier for people around the region. I think I mentioned this before, but Hong Kong is also kind of geographically in the middle of the Asia region, just 4 hours flight pretty much from every country. And so being able to gather together all the different pools of capital and decision makers around Asia into a single place to have these conversations is also quite key, and also why I think it's just such an opportunity to be able to host this again in Hong Kong.
John, talking about the APAC region, talk to me about any specific opportunities you see for the institutional ecosystem in the region.
Yeah, I mean, our parent company, Skybridge Capital, we're an allocator ourselves. We're a fund of hedge funds that in 2020 decided to start allocating very heavily to digital assets. And so we've experienced sort of the issues that Michael alluded to around proper due diligence, proper evaluation of the different ways to access the asset class. And so I think, like Michael said, we start from a point of education at our events in a way that, we're often speaking to allocators that don't have any allocation to the asset class or expertise in the asset class. And I think that's the starting point, is that crypto, to me, globally has crossed a different threshold with regulatory blessing in the United States. And that's put it on the menu for global asset allocators in a way that it's never been before. So I think for Asian investors, this event is going to be the first time that we're convening a group like this in the wake of major regulatory progress in the US. And so we've already experienced, after we announced the partnership, and I'm sure CoinDesk and Consensus have experienced the same thing, the level of interest from real large institutional family offices, from sovereign wealth funds, from pensions, endowments has never been higher. Harvard just announced, or it was just announced by a 13F filing, that they've increased their position massively in the Bitcoin ETFs. And I think you're going to see more of that trend start to come to light around institutional allocators seeing digital assets as a core part of their asset allocation.
John, what does it tell you that we saw the largest liquidity event ever for this industry just last month, and there's still that kind of interest you just described?
Yeah, I think crypto has become more anti-fragile. I think in general, traditional markets have all these circuit breakers and things to prevent volatility, which exist for a reason. But I think everybody who is invested in this asset class feels like there's a better system that we can create with more price discovery, and even the fact that there might be more volatility is sort of a feature of the system and not a bug. But I think the resilience of the asset class, I think particularly for Bitcoin as a starting point for most investors into the asset class, has become apparent. And I think the ETFs and different products that are in the marketplace have smoothed out inflows into the asset class in a way that have made them more resilient. So yeah, we're experiencing a little bit of a drawdown in crypto assets here in the last few weeks in the wake of that big liquidity event. But I think ultimately we're comfortable with where the industry is and feel confident about its future.
Michael, the event is a closed door event. It's going to operate under Chatham House rules. Talk to me about some of the unfiltered questions and topics you expect to be tackled in Hong Kong.
Yeah, well, again, I think one of the key points about this particular thing is that we're gathering some of the most sophisticated investors into this particular closed door gathering. And so I do expect there to be really insightful and, really constructive debates around kind of where the market's going, how to approach the market, just really hopefully sharing useful tools for people to think about how they would be able to deploy capital into this asset class. So I think that's definitely one of them. I think there's also going to be hopefully opportunities to ask tough questions around how operations work around these particular types of funds. I think the idea here is really just to be able to provide people an ability to be able to ask the questions that they need to ask and to get honest answers to be able to really make good decisions around how to allocate into the space. I think one of the things that we noticed, for example, last year is that when it comes to the big conference, oftentimes it's very difficult to get into some of the really, really deep technical elements of how markets work and how do we think about approaching this. And that's kind of where this is made to go a little bit more into the details of how we think about investing. And so that's kind of where we think that this tailor-made element of it will be very appealing for this particular crowd.
And Michael, how can folks attend?
So we've got a website up on the Consensus Hong Kong 2026 website. If you go there, you go through the tabs, you'll find the Institutional Summit tab, and over there you'll be able to apply. There's 3 ways to apply, so please do read the instructions there, but we're very eager to have everybody learn more and hope to see you there as well.
Michael, John, it was a pleasure talking about the event with you. I'll see you both in February.
Sounds good.
Look forward to it.
CoinDesk Bitcoin Treasury Month is brought to you by Genius Group, a Bitcoin treasury company listed on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker GNS. Genius is on its way to hodling 10,000 Bitcoin in its treasury while educating the world on a Bitcoin-first future. Genius has launched the Genius Academy with courses from the likes of Saifedean Ammous, author of the Bitcoin Standard, Natalie Brunell, and many more. Start your Genius learning journey for free today at geniusacademy.ai and earn Bitcoin-backed gems. Genius Group. Genius isn't measured in IQ, it's measured in Bitcoin. Looking for the best way to unlock your crypto's liquidity? Figure is exactly what you need, being the largest non-bank mortgage lender in the U.S. with over $19 billion unlocked on their lending platform. Explore their industry-low crypto-backed loans at 8.91% interest rates at 50% LTV. They differentiate themselves by offering decentralized MPC custody, which protects your crypto ownership in a segregated wallet. They've also recently launched liquidation protection, which protects you from liquidation during large price drops. Whether you're funding a major purchase like a down payment on a home, investing in new opportunities, or even buying more Bitcoin, Figure makes it straightforward and transparent. Visit their app or click our link below to take out a crypto-backed loan with Figure today.